Ladies, welcome to the Purpose, Power, and Profit Society. This is your host, Kimberly Smith Tiller, the Purpose Catalyst. I help women identify their purpose, transform their pain into power, and activate their zone of genius so they can start creating multiple streams of income. Thank you so much for joining me for season 3 of the podcast. We are ending it strong, and this is a message to all the moms. Shout out to the moms for season 3. And I am so grateful for my last guest. I figured we would end it strong and we would end it with family. So I have one of my besties with me tonight. Y'all are going to get the shenanigans and the truth. So y'all, listen, this is my friend Lisa Jefferson, wife, minister, singer extraordinaire, and most of all, parent to adult children. So that should tell you what we're talking about tonight.
My goodness.
Honey, listen, it is a necessity. You still with these adult kids. So we're going to talk about healthy relationships with adult children. So Lisa, tell them all about yourself. Give them a couple of, bullet points.
Let's see. Well, I am first a child of God.
Child of God.
No, on seriously though, I'm a mother. I'm a wife. I've been married for 23 years. Coming up in July of this year will be 23 years. I have 2 grown daughters. One is 31 and the other one will be 30 in June.
Oh my God.
And I have 2 grandchildren also. I am a minister, was a worship leader for many, many years. I've been singing pretty much all my life.
And
I'm from a musical family. My mom sings. My dad is a pastor, so I'm also a PK.
Oh, that's powerful. We probably should have talked about that too.
Yeah, well,
We'll tie that in a little bit.
Yeah, so, and I'm just here to just share my experience. I wouldn't call myself to be an expert because there are so many perspectives of how people can look about, raising children and their relationship, and their experiences. But I'm just here to share. Hopefully someone will, gain some knowledge or insight on how it can be looked at and how they can kind of deal with, managing the relationships that they have with their children as they become adults.
I love it. So y'all, this is some insight into our relationship. So I met Lisa, probably, hold on. What was it, 10 years ago? Has it been? No.
No.
I would say about 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, it seemed, God, child, it seemed like 20 years.
I know, because y'all, she just, where's me thin? It's the other way around, though. So I've known Lisa for almost a decade. I think we're safe to say that. It's almost a decade. And one of the things that after we became friends and I got to know her and her family, number one, let's go here. I met her eldest daughter and we worked together and she was like, hey, I'm going to bring my mom. Do you remember this for the fashion show? When I launched my event planning business, right?
Yes.
And so Sierra comes to me and she says, I'm going to have my mom step in and help me too. And I said, no, what type of mess is this you got to have a mom? Because you know where I come from. If you got to bring your mom in, 1, you either fighting, 2, you ain't sure, or 3, you don't live life by yourself unless your mom is there and your mom got to give you the directions and then you follow her lead. Yeah. I had no clue that these 2 was thick as thieves. And then all of a sudden, I'm seeing how they work and everything. I was like, oh my God, they love each other.
Yeah.
So it was still, so I'm just watching. Like, I don't really know them that well. We got to know each other very well during the fashion show and everything. And then it probably was a year and a half later. it was probably, it might have been a
I
year.
think so. About a
Year and a
year.
half later,
Yep.
yeah.
Hmm.
And then I hit this point in my life that was like a whole skid mark. Imagine somebody on a motorcycle has an accident and you see all the skid marks on the road. That's how I felt my life was. And I remember I was talking to the youth pastor at the moment. And I was like, listen, these are the things that's about to happen. And so you're on
Hmm.
alert, right? And y'all, Lisa stood right there like, hmm. And I was like, why is she here? Yo? I don't even know her like this. Why is she here? But at the
Right.
moment, it was like, I can't have this conversation anywhere else. It's kind of important. Let me just tell you what it is. In that, probably what, 9 or 10 months, we became such family.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I
Yes.
mean, like family, and we became
Like, I don't even
friends.
remember honestly where it kind of began. It
I
just, we
don't
just
know.
connected.
I
And I
don't
think
know. I
it
don't
just,
know.
and
This is how
definitely
I
with
knew it was
Sierra
good.
definitely was
Yes, she's a
the
gateway.
conduit that kind of put it all together.
She really was. She
She
really, so
was.
if I wasn't with Sierra, I was with Lisa. It was a whole
Hmm.
family affair.
Yeah.
Lisa's husband, Bruce, became like my brother. Her other daughter was like my little sister. It just was so interesting
Yeah.
how everything took place. So we have this covenant relationship, like it's a whole family affair
That's
thing
awesome.
now.
And that's
And we
awesome.
cover each other, we pray for
Absolutely.
each other, like it just is what it is. But when I realized how different her relationship is with her kids, number one, she told you she was a PK, right?
Hmm.
So y'all know what that means. Y'all know that it's usually they're crazy out in the streets, but they got to act a certain way, at home and at
Don't you talk
church.
about us now. Don't you talk about us.
Listen, I'm just saying.
Okay.
Y'all know how it is. But I mean, it's the same for church babies. We just don't get the PK title. I've been in church since I was 6 weeks. So I'm not a PK, but I know what that life is like.
Right.
You like a dual agent. You got life
Absolutely.
outside, you got the life that people know about. But what
Absolutely.
I loved was their transparent relationship. They could talk to their mom about anything. And if you know anything about church mamas, that's not usually the case. You got to
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
secrets. You got to sneak. You got to hide. And Sierra was grown. Like, even when
Oh
I met
yeah.
her, Sierra was grown and Brittany was grown. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like I was meeting teenagers, early 20s. They were grown, grown.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you did differently, because I know that you grew up traditional PK style. How
Yeah.
did you determine the culture of the relationship with your girls and how to have that relationship and make it intentional?
Okay, so well, I have to go back to when I had my girls. So first of all, I had my daughter, my first daughter, when I was 19, and there's always that stigma, and I was not married
Honey,
when I
I
had
went through
her.
that stigma.
So yeah, so again, the stigma and also the standard and expectations
Yes.
that and standards that are put on you from those who are in the church. And it's not to take away from church
Mm-mm.
etiquette and all of that good stuff, but because I was a PK and I was out here, and now I'm pregnant, and it's like, oh my God, and what am I going to do? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? This is the pastor's daughter and all those kinds of things. So that within itself was something to deal with. And so I feel like I kind of had to grow up a little bit quicker. I
Oh,
matured a
yeah.
little bit faster probably than the average 19-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
who was out there.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the things that I gleaned from is I really had a really good family structure, thank God, that I
Mm-hmm.
was able to pull from, from my own parents. And even though I was a young mom
Mm-hmm.
raising two children, I always held the standard that I was definitely not my daughter's friends, that there would become a time in life where I would be able to look at them
Mm-hmm.
as a friend in a somewhat of in some
Mm-hmm.
aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, when I was raising them, they understood me to be mom, and they were the daughters, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And they followed the rules and standards just like most other moms hold standards for
Mm-hmm.
their children. Um, one of the things that, because in the, church, with the standards and things that, are kind of there, and we, that, we don't say nothing, we don't tell, that kind of situation. I wanted to provide transparency to my children, but still have a level of them honoring and respecting who I was for them in their lives. And so that was really important to me. So as they begin to grow and get older, one of the things I always told them, though, even as they were growing, it's so important for me, for you to always be honest and tell me the truth. So I always provided and fostered an environment where they felt comfortable to come and talk to me about anything, whether I would agree with it necessarily or not. I just wanted to be able to hear them express, where they are, what their concerns were, and so forth, and we would deal with it, in that time. But just to be honest with me, and I tried to do the same thing for them as they were growing up. So I think, raising them was pretty much the same as most moms. I'm kind of old school. I was an old school mom. I grew up like that. You can only ride your bike from one part of the driveway to the other part of the driveway. Had to come in when the street lights came on. All of that stuff is kind of how I raised my children, because that's what I knew. But as they became adults, as they began to grow, I think what was important to me is that I continued to establish relationships with them as they grew, that we didn't grow outside of each other, but that we continued to grow together. And so what I always tried to do is make sure and understand the necessity for me to shift as they were shifting as well into adulthood, understanding.
So what did that look like? I mean, because I've never heard that before.
Well, I mean, how can I put that into words?
I mean, because, okay, so as they were growing into adulthood, what age did you consider that? Was that 15 to 17? Was it 17 to 18, like right before they got out of high school?
Well, I mean, again, because I always fostered that openness and honesty with them, you know what I mean? They always felt very comfortable to come and talk to me about anything. I just always kept that kind of relationship with my daughters. I, provided other opportunities to expand them, you know what I mean, in their thinking.
Okay.
And also expose them to different types of things, like different types of arts and stuff like that, made sure that they were involved in things, and that they were able to express themselves, but in a manner that still provided, one, respect for me, respect for themselves, you know what I mean, and respect for those who, they had relationship with, you know what I mean? So the shift kind of came once they got a little bit older and started to get ready to go to high school and college.
Okay.
They started getting in that range, you know what I mean? We began to start shifting, and now the conversation, I always said to them, one of the things I used to always say to the girls as they were growing up, I said, in life, you always go through a myriad of emotions. And one of the things I would always tell them is you never make any decisions that are pivotal. When you get some of those pivotal points in your life, you have to make these decisions that are so lasting, the effects of them.
Yeah.
I would tell them, you never make any decision when you're at the height of your emotion.
Oh,
You know
that's
what I'm saying?
true.
You always, want to take out a moment, allow kind of in a way the dust to settle a little bit, and just kind of assess all of the different points to it before you make a final decision on something. And that's whatever the emotion is, whether it's happy, it's sad, it's angry, very excited, you know what I mean? Just to really, really take a moment and to just allow your emotions to kind of settle before you make, a final decision. So, number one, don't be led by your emotions, when you're making decisions. And so, and to talk, you know what I mean? And to talk it through with somebody who you feel is going to give you good advice. I think once they entered high school too, I began to really start talking to them also about the difference between a friend and an associate. Because
Oh,
I
that's
know, like,
good.
in my life, I never had a whole lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of associates.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was a girl who was really talkative. I always had, like, guy friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, around me all the time. Always a lot of people. I always knew people, and I always liked to be around people. But people who I would actually call my friends, those in my circle, were people who I trusted. I used to tell them growing
Yeah.
up, how you define who a friend is a friend is always going to, number one, they're going to tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're always going to look out for you. They're never going to put you in a position where you're going to do something that's going to hurt or deter you from what it is that you're destined to
Mm-hmm.
do or to be, or what you desire to be. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They're never going to make you lean or compromise from what your belief value really is.
Mm-hmm.
And we dealt with that, as they were even in middle school. I would say I would probably go back and start there when they're in middle school, understanding and knowing what a true friend was. So they were kind of like, they're kind of like me, their personalities a little bit. So they
Yeah.
like being around people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
people who they would actually call friend
It's
is
very,
probably
yeah,
very,
very,
very
very
small.
few and far between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very small. And so that was definitely one thing. Know your friends, know your associates. Don't make decisions, when you're at the height of your emotions. You know, and as they begin to become adults, the relationships started to shift in that they were dealing with more adult situations.
Mm-hmm.
So, the conversations became more complex.
Mm-hmm.
So as a mom, where you go from being the mom that says no, you know what I'm saying? And that's
Mm-hmm.
it because I know what's best for you,
Mm-hmm.
to, okay, let me let you figure this out kind of on your own. You hear them out, but you also got to be okay as a mom to hear them,
Yeah.
provide advice, but know that they might not necessarily, like, the decision is actually theirs to make on their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to bear, but also keeping in mind that they bear whatever that consequence is. And you might, as a mom, you kind of share that a little bit, because that's that tug that sometimes is difficult for moms to shift from being, that mother hen,
Yeah. It's like
to
letting go.
allowing them to kind of, fly on their own,
Yeah.
and understand that, whatever choices and decisions that you make, that you bear the consequence of that choice and that decision, So now, creating still creating that again, that safe environment where they feel comfortable to come and just sit and talk with you.
Mm-hmm.
Me and my girls, we get together and we have, brunches, and we have
Which
lunch
I think
together
is amazing.
sometimes. And, we just do mommy daughter days is what we
Yeah.
call it. Actually I started that with them when they were very, very young. I had actually a group of friends, again, a few group of friends, girlfriends of mine, who had children, a couple of them around my daughter's age at the time, when they were like probably in their, like, they were maybe like 11, 12, 13, around that age.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a whole, like, spa day for them, where we actually did what we would do as women.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
go out and treat, and because I wanted them to understand and know what it is for self-care, even
Yeah.
at that age, how
Yeah.
important it is to start that. And child, I made monsters when I took them to the
Yes, you
nail
did.
salon,
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
because after
Yes.
that it was done and over with. But they never forget. They talk about that sometimes a day. Mom, remember that time in the apartment when it was just me, you, and Brittany,
Mm-hmm.
and you had us in our bathrobes and had our heads wrapped up in towels, and you had the
Mm-hmm.
little foot massages out, and you painted our nails and all that.
Wait, even
They
I know the
remember
story.
that.
They have recounted the story to me.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like those are the
So
memories that I'm talking about, stuff that they can look at. But I think it also sets standards too.
absolutely,
I think it's a
absolutely,
standard setting behavior. But then they got,
definitely.
oh, like, okay, so Sierra State in state. for college, but
She
still
did.
lived on campus.
She did.
Okay.
She
How
did.
did that work? Like what was the relationship like then?
Well, you got to know your children. So Sierra is a homebody anyway.
Indeed.
So I don't
Indeed.
know that I had to worry a whole lot about, what some parents probably worry about when their kids first go to
Hmm.
school, or go to college, I should say. She was kind of homebody. And, at that time, she was a real church girl. So, but and I mean, I'm sure she went to some parties and things of that nature. I
Right.
actually was encouraging her to enjoy the college life
Right.
because, you only get that opportunity once in a
Listen,
lifetime. And then after
that's
that,
the truth.
when you graduate from college, honey,
It's real
you have
life.
exactly all the responsibilities. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, when she was in college at the time, I think Brittany was probably not home. I'm trying to think if she was living with me or not. So, and brings another little topic is that although I have been married to my husband for 23 years this July, we are actually a blended family. So my daughters
Hmm.
are not from this marriage; they are from a previous marriage. Both my daughters, and so I believe at the time that Sierra was first in college, I believe that Brittany was living with her father for a year.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
And
So
still maintaining a relationship though.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, so much so that she, she came back home.
She's I think I'm gonna go back home now.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go back to my mom. I think I like it there better.
I'm not really sure why I did this, but I mean,
Please never come home. But we always, we've always, we do check-ins with each other. We've always done that. They've always been very, very caring young ladies.
Yeah.
Just very well-mannered, very respectful. I've always trained them, at a young age to be young ladies and to hold themselves to a certain standard so that others will also not devalue them. But even if people tried to devalue them, that they would always know that there's a certain standard that they should have for themselves,
Hmm.
they've continued that throughout their lives, even now.
Hmm.
So when Sierra went to college, I mean, it was cool. She went to college and she was being a college kid, and she would come home fairly frequent, especially because she didn't live that far from college. You know how that go. When you're in college, you don't have that
I'm
much
gonna
money.
go
So
home and wash my
yeah,
clothes, grab some food.
absolutely,
Hmm.
you got it. That
I
was the
enjoyed
deal.
that part. That was a good part of being away from college,
Hmm.
but being in state.
Yeah.
So now they're grown. You have Brittany, who's the youngest, who has a
Hmm.
family of her own. Now, both of her daughters are married, y'all. Both of her daughters are married. Brittany has two babies, husband.
Yes.
Sierra has a husband. But here's the thing.
Now let's not forget they came home for a little bit after they got out of college, honey.
They did
Okay,
come
we was
home.
empty nesters
Well,
and we was
wait,
excited about that
that's
thing.
true too. So
Okay.
let's back up.
And then they
How did
both
y'all
came
set
back home.
boundaries?
Ah.
I mean, because like right now, if Aaliyah was to come home, yeah, no, sis. No, sis. She's
Well,
grown.
so Sierra, when she she only stayed on campus one year,
Hmm.
freshman year,
Okay.
and her other 3 years, she actually stayed like on the campus, but in an apartment, like
Okay.
on the campus grounds.
Okay.
So she was there, and then her last yeah, no. Then when she graduated, her roommate who she had in the apartment when she was in college, they decided to get a
Oh, that's
apartment outside
right.
of the college, and they moved in together. And she was from New York. Her name actually is Cece. It's Cecilia,
Yes.
but her name is Cece. And so she was from, I believe, from New York. I think that's where her family was. And so they I think Cecilia had one more year left. I think she wasn't done school when Sierra. I think Sierra was a little bit ahead of her.
Okay.
And so they kind of had an apartment together. And then once Cecilia moved back to New York, then Sierra ended up moving back home. So that's kind of how that happened, how that is. When apartments are expensive and you know how that rolls. So she wanted, Mom, can I come home for a little bit? I'm just going, get my coins up and everything like that. And when you fresh out of out of college,
Yes.
not making a whole lot of money, you know
Right.
what I mean? So, and you got, all these wonderful certificates of completion, but you don't have a certificate of
Listen.
employment all the time.
Right.
So, she was working through that. And I think she had gotten a job actually in psychology, in her psychology major at the time, working in Philadelphia. But so anyway, she came to live back home for a while, and then Brittany also came back. Was home and graduated from school, and then I think she did another stint where she went and stayed with her dad for a little bit, and then ended up coming back home as well. So yeah, that was interesting when they
That
came
is
back home.
interesting because now you got two grown people living in your house, and it ain't
Absolutely.
like you can be the mom that you was when they were growing up.
Truly. So here was one of the rules that I definitely had put in place. Number one, you respect our house, and and all the rules still kind of apply. My only thing I think that began to start to shift too is that because they were of age now where they could go and hang out and do things, the responsibility of at least letting me know, hey, Mom, I'm not coming in tonight. Or, hey, Mom, I'm out with a friend,
Yeah.
because they're girls, they're
Yeah.
female. You're
Yes.
always a little bit more concerned about them if they're out there,
Yeah.
by themselves, hey, we even still do that, right?
Listen,
When
don't
we
we though?
out, when you going out of town, you let me
Listen,
know what the itinerary is. You
when
understand
I
what I'm
go
saying?
out
Because
on a date, y'all, I
listen, it's
send
crazy in
pictures,
these streets.
profile pics, tags. They be like, all right.
Absolutely, honey. We have to keep each other accountable. And that's the same thing I used to
Grown.
tell them, look, if you're not coming in, let me know that. Let me know so I can
Exactly.
set the alarm, and I ain't expecting nobody
And
in
I'm
here
not
the
worried that
rest of
I
the night.
haven't
And I'm
seen
not
you.
worried, right?
Yes.
And they were pretty good with that.
Okay.
All in
Okay.
all, they were pretty good with that.
See, I think that's a big relief for some parents because
Yeah.
you're still trying to parent versus guide.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you find that was the shift? Like when they came back home, you like, well, you know what? I ain't mom, because these kids ain't like 10. They more like 20 plus.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to just guide my way through this. They ask me, I'm going to tell you.
Absolutely. And I think, again, that's the thing, they always felt comfortable to come and talk to me. And I think that's because I always kept a line of communication open with them, not only just so that they could come and talk to me, but because I would sometimes go and talk to them. I think there's a sense of transparency that you
Oh.
provide to your kids too, to let them know that you're human, you make mistakes, and I have not always gotten it right. You know what I mean? And there's been times that I've not gotten it right. And I've been able to go to them and say, hey, listen, you know what? I messed up. I didn't do that right. I didn't handle this the proper way. You know what I mean? This is not how I should have done that.
I'm
And,
sure you
and
just
I
made some moms
apologize,
very uncomfortable because now they
well,
got to go and admit their faults. But this is good.
well, listen, hey,
This is
you got to
good.
do that. You know what I'm saying?
You
Sometimes we got to
absolutely
come
do.
together. You know what I mean?
I
And we
love
got
that.
to, commit our faults to one another as well as to God as well. Sometimes
Oh,
we
I
have
love
to go
that.
back, and so, I think there's a sense of respect and honor that they've always, and then I'll tell you the other thing too, is they always saw me honor my parents as well. And I
Yeah.
think because they saw that, they saw me actually honor not only my parents, but just friendships, people that I have friends with. I'm loyal, you know what I'm saying? And,
Absolutely.
and I just, I try to honor the people that are in my circles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they, in turn have done the same thing, and they see that. And like I said, my husband and I, Bruce, we've always provided a sense of transparency with them and tried as best as we could to communicate and just let them know that we're here to support you now. As you begin to start making life choices and life decisions for yourself, we will support you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We might not necessarily always agree with every decision that you make, but we always will support you.
I think that's big. That's because I
Yeah.
was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
What does support look different when you agree with the decision versus when you disagree?
That's a good question.
Because for me, if I don't support it, if I don't like it, I ain't putting my money behind it. Like, but
Well, you
that's,
know what? Yeah, it doesn't, your
you know what
support
I'm
doesn't
saying?
necessarily always have to be monetary either,
I'm talking about me and my family. This is how
Yeah.
I don't like it. Well, can I have, no, you cannot because I don't like it.
Yeah. You know what? I think, also too, there's a growing up that, kids as they come out of being teenagers into adult and then understanding adulthood and what comes with that, responsibility and stuff like that. So yeah, you can't come to me and be like, hey mom, can I get $20?
Right,
every
right,
other week. You know what
right.
I'm saying? When you got a phone bill and things like that to pay, you know. And another thing that I used to do with my girls when they were younger, to just start training them with some responsibility and things like that, is I would give them, rather than, saying, hey, let's go to the mall. And they're like, hey, mom, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. I would say, okay, well, here's $100 or here's $50. You know what I mean? And that's all you're going to get. So
Right.
now you can decide what it is that you're going to get.
Yep.
You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
You're not going to get me for a whole outfit, my nails and all of this kind of, you got
Listen,
$50, sis.
budget it
So
out.
you work that out.
Yep. That's it. That's the thing.
You
That's the
work that
move.
out. And, pretty much as they begin to grow, they begin to start understanding the necessity of taking care of the things that God has entrusted to your care.
Right.
It's called stewardship.
Yeah.
That's not only stewardship of your finances, stewardship of your relationships. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? And as a parent, you still have the responsibility to steward your relationship with your children,
Oh,
regardless to
that's
how
good.
old they get. You still are stewarding a relationship with them, you know?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real
So,
good. That's real good.
yeah.
How do you continue the or model your relationship with God so that they catch on? Because I mean, let's be honest. The Bible says, train them up when they're a child, when they're old, they won't depart from it. We hope and pray that old doesn't mean 50, 60.
Right.
But older really could be in their 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
How do you, whether you like the lifestyle, whether you don't, whether they follow and pursue God, how do you make sure that you are steadfast in modeling that paramount is a relationship with God?
Well, I will tell you honestly, for me, I model it by doing it,
Okay.
and I actually have to give credit to my father for that, because growing up as a PK and as a pastor's kid, there were many, many times that I can recall waking up in the middle of the night, maybe to go to the bathroom or something like that at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and hearing my dad downstairs, I mean, travailing in prayer,
Wow.
and just as a child, I always remembered that, hearing that. And it was a sense of security that I had in just knowing that. And because because it was modeled for me, I began to do the same thing. So it was nothing for my girls to see me praying around the house, singing, because, worship is my thing. And so,
Y'all and her
I'm going
girls
to be
sing
doing
too.
that all the
They're
time.
like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Clark sisters.
Oh, child, please. We ain't no
They are,
Clark
they
sisters.
sang.
We ain't no Clark sisters, but
Listen.
prayer is definitely something that they know the power of it.
Yeah.
They understand what it is to communicate with God in that way, not only through me, but just the whole family, their father and their father's side of the family, excuse me, their father's side of the family also, um, were, in the church and praying and stuff. So that, that kind of came natural for them. But as far as, praying and trusting God,
Yeah.
I have learned to be able to provide. One of the things that I know that God has entrusted to me is a level of wisdom when it comes to my children, and just
Mm-hmm.
period. And so, oftentimes when I know that I'm aware of something that I might not necessarily be in complete and total understanding of, and even or agreement of, when it comes to my children, I give it to God. I give it to God, and I also ask Him to really, really garner my speech. When I speak to my children, because I still want them to be able to, I still want them to be free to come and to express again,
Mm-hmm.
fostering that openness and that honesty, for them to be able to come and share with me, because that's how I get enlightened about what I really need to, how I need to target my prayers. You
Mm-hmm.
understand? And then I
Yeah.
just got to trust God with my children. I got to
That has been
trust
so
God
hard for me.
with the process
Yeah.
of them getting to where, they need to be. And
Yeah.
only He truly knows,
Now that's the truth, though.
what their purpose is, what they're
Yeah.
destined to be. We get a glimpse of it, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
as an intercessor, you know what I'm saying. And when God gives us some prophetic insight, as we pray for our children,
Yeah.
the only thing we can do is continue to pray that,
Yeah.
and then allow God to work them through their process, because, as adults, we
That's good,
can't
though.
tell them, you know what I mean. We can only help to share and to God, and to expose them to God, in hopes
That's
that they
true.
will, it says, train up a child in the way they should go, and when
Yeah.
they depart, they will not, when they get old, they won't depart from it.
Yeah.
And so that's our prayer, that's our desire, that they really have a relationship with God, not so much religion,
Right.
but a relationship,
Right.
you know what I mean, with God,
Right. That
and
got that
so,
good fruit. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and to this day, they will call me, and say, "Hey, Mom, I need you to pray about this.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to be in prayer about this." And to be honest, completely honest with you, there's been a couple of times that I've actually spoken to them, and they done read me and prayed me through something. I said, "Okay, well, thank you, sis. I appreciate you." Appreciate you. I'm gonna just straighten myself right on up,
Let me get
y'all.
my little life together right now, because
Let
the
me get
kids
it
done had to come
together.
get me.
Come on, okay, okay, get me straight. All right, but I really honor the relationship that I have with my daughters. I know that it is very special. I
Yeah.
am blessed. I am honored that they are my children, and that I get to see them grow. I get to see them grow up and become the young women that they are, and now they're mothers and wives, and
Mm-hmm.
just that whole new development for them, and their processes that they're going through as they're learning their mates, and how to, finagle with, how that goes, and
Yeah.
things like that. So it's a real cool spot to be in now. I'm really very, very appreciative and very thankful for that.
So, all right, we're ending, but I want you to give the women who are in this same role as you. They're not the mom who's raising teenagers anymore. They don't even have college kids, or maybe they do have college kids moving
Mhm.
into, I'm living on my own, I'm doing my own thing. Give them a nugget of wisdom as to how to be that mom who's in faith and wants to have that transparent relationship with their children, whether, boy or girl. son or
Mhm.
daughter, that we talked about?
Okay, well, first I would say, um, one, you have to trust God, with your children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Continue to be open, you know. Communication is so very important. Keep the line of communication open. You may not always agree, but as my mom used to always say, sometimes you got to agree to disagree,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to be open to working on the relationship. Some I know some young ladies are estranged from their mothers because maybe they went through some things that makes the relationship a little fragile.
Mm-hmm.
Just be open. I think you have to have a sense of humility. You have to walk in integrity, being honest with who you are, where you are, and just just asking God for godly wisdom as you shift your role from being mom, who makes decisions, to mom who helps to support the decisions that they make,
Oh,
you know.
that is so
So
good.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I feel so wonderful and refreshed after this
You are
conversation.
so crazy. You are so crazy.
Lisa, thank you for being on the
You
Purpose,
are
Power, and
so
Profit
welcome.
Society. This was so good. This is really going to help a lot of moms, though. Seriously, because I
Well,
mean,
I hope so. I
it
mean,
is. When you talk
I
about adult children, and you be like, "Child, what is you thinking?" You
yeah, it's
you know but those conversations and knowing how to master those conversations, I think, are key, and even getting them to open up. So I think that this is going to be new chapters. We're in a pandemic. Y'all ain't got nothing else better to do than talk to your kids, and
yeah,
and reset
yeah.
and restart these relationships, right?
I think
So
that's it too. Restart,
yeah,
restart it fresh. You know what I'm saying? Take some time, do something unique and creative and
yeah,
fun. It
I
don't
think that'll
always
be
have to
good.
be, stern conversations or hard conversations, but sometimes it just need to be light. Sometimes you just need to do some and be open to doing some things that they enjoy doing. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
that's true too.
And be open to learning from your kids too. I think
Oh, that's good.
oftentimes, we go through, oh, I can tell you because I've been here longer. And although we have been here longer and we have gained a lot of experience in life, you know, our children do still have something to offer to us
No,
to
that's
teach
true.
us as well. So I think being open to being teachable also,
Other than with technology, y'all. Other than with
listen,
technology. We're
because,
saying
honey,
in life.
I'm right. And technology too, honey, because, honey, I'm here to learn. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh God. So listen, y'all. I hope that you benefited from this conversation. I hope you can take away some nuggets. I know that it's good conversation, and it's something that we need to think about as we have children who are leaving high school, going to college, maybe leaving college, possibly coming back home. This is a necessary conversation. And also for the moms who maybe don't have the relationship that Lisa mentioned or we discussed tonight, it's never too late to reset and restart. And reconciliation is the key right now. We have time.
Absolutely.
We have time.
Absolutely.
Have these conversations and be open with your sons and daughters. So, listen, moms, I'm so glad we had this season together. One of the things, check out the show notes because Lisa has a single and it's super bomb and it's super dope. Um, and it's Trust You More, right?
Yeah, trust him more. Trust
Trust
him
him
more.
more. And so I'm going to link that in the show notes. Make sure you click on it. It is on Amazon. It is on Apple Music. Download it. Listen, don't stream. Download
And I
the
think it's
music.
on Google Play too. I
It
think
is
it's
on Google
on
Play
Google
because I got
Play.
it
Yeah.
on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
But see, there's a difference. I want to make sure that people download it because
Mm-hmm.
stream means you get pennies. They
Oh, yeah.
download it. you get some nickels.
Well,
So,
come on here. I'm here for the coins. I'm here. I'm here for them.
so y'all check out her single, Trust and More. It's beautiful and you will need it. It is actually a very timely message in that song as we go through this quarantine and shelter in place and COVID-19. You are absolutely going to have to trust him more. Listen, I'm Kimberly Smith-Tiller. I'm the Purpose Catalyst. Thank you for allowing me and my guests to help you identify your purpose, transform pain into power, and activate your zone of genius so that you can create more streams of income. We'll see you in season 4.